You make me sick. Episode 4. You make me sick. The man's words stuck like a fishbone in her throat, mercilessly and viciously piercing Mitali's soreish spot. What had happened on that fateful night was not her fault, and she had only found out that she was pregnant after she went abroad. She didn't even know the man from that night who had done this to her, much less what she should do. After a long period of indecision, she had finally mustered up the courage to have the child. She had never regretted it, and she did not feel that someone she had never met could blame her for it. "Sorry, but that's none of your business." Her expression immediately turned cold, and she enunciated every word very clearly. "He just accidentally spilled water on you and mistook you for someone else. You don't have the right to speak to me like that." She stared at the man in front of her with a fiery gaze and added, "I can teach my own child. I don't need you to give him a lesson." "You can teach your child?" Shivi scoffed, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Since he has a mother like you, I'm afraid he'll end up spoiled." Mitali clenched her fists and tightly pursed her lips. She took the cup of water out of Dev's hands and threw it in the man's face. The water slid down his skin. Seeing his shocked expression, she smiled coldly. "Well then, I really must thank you for your concern." She ignored the fuming man, picked up her child, and returned to her seat. After what had just happened, Dev was in a low mood. Mitali's heart ached to see him like this. She didn't know what had possessed him to hug a stranger's leg and call him daddy. "Dev, what happened to you just now?" She reached out and gently ruffled the hair on his forehead. "Why did you call him daddy?" she asked softly. Dev looked up and blinked at her. "He is my father, I know it, I can feel it," he insisted. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He could feel that man was his father. "All right, you." She poked his forehead and said seriously, "Don't mess around anymore, do you hear me?" Fortunately, the rest of the flight was uneventful and she did not see that man again. As she led Dev out of the airport, she bumped into Kiali and Rohan, who had come to pick her up. "Long time no see." Kiali held Rohan's hand and smiled, leaning on his shoulder. "I really missed you." Mitali thought that she no longer felt anything for them, but after seeing this, the hatred in her heart skyrocketed. "Is that so?" she replied coldly. Looking at Kiali's smug expression, she felt disgusted. Dev, who had been sitting on his luggage, looked out curiously from behind Mitali's legs. He saw Kiali and Rohan and asked, "Who are they?" Kiali was shocked when she saw the child. She had been so focused on flaunting her feelings in front of Mitali that she hadn't noticed him. "He's..." Before she could finish, Mitali replied calmly, "This is my son, Dev." "Son? How did she get a son?" Kiali had countless questions in her mind. She hadn't even heard that Mitali was married, so where had he come from? "Sis, you're so mean." She nudged Mitali and said with a smile, "You didn't even tell us you got married." 5 years before, Kiali had pretended to be innocent and wronged so that she could play the victim. Now she was affectionately calling her sis, as if they had a deep sisterly affection for each other. She was really a very talented actress. Mitali watched her performance and the disgust in her heart almost reached its limit. Since it's come to this, what's the point in pretending? How can you look at yourself and not feel sick? You make me sick. The moment she finished speaking, Rohan, who had been standing beside his fiancée without saying anything, shouted angrily, "Why do you bother with her, Kiali? She did so many shameless things in the past. This child might even be the illegitimate son of that man."